The Ransom Canyon Season 2 finale wraps up several of the show's biggest storylines while leaving one major mystery unresolved. Sydney's attack changes multiple lives forever. Stanton and Quinn finally stop running from each other after decades of missed opportunities. Lauren makes a surprising romantic choice, and Yancy discovers that sometimes surviving the danger isn't enough to save the people you love. The finale initially makes it seem as though both Ellie and her unborn child may die after Sydney pushes her from the porch. The fall causes a placental abruption, forcing doctors to deliver the baby prematurely. Fortunately, both survive. Yancy finally gets to meet his newborn daughter, Isabella, in one of the episode's happiest moments. After everything the couple has endured throughout the season, the birth seems like the beginning of a peaceful new chapter. However, surviving physically is very different from recovering emotionally. Ellie develops severe trauma following the attack. When she briefly mistakes a nurse carrying Isabella for Sydney, kidnapping her daughter, it becomes clear that Sydney's violence has left lasting psychological scars. Even after Sydney disappears, Ellie no longer feels safe. That fear shapes one of the finale's biggest emotional decisions. Although Yancy believes the discovery of oil beneath Cap's land solves all of their problems, Ellie sees it very differently. Throughout the season, nearly every danger surrounding her family has been connected to Yancy's complicated life. Sydney targeted Ellie because of her connection to him. Freddie's criminal dealings dragged Yancy into financial trouble. Now the discovery of a massive oil reserve promises even greater wealth, but potentially even greater conflict. To Yancy, the oil represents opportunity. To Ellie, it represents another reason dangerous people might enter their lives. After nearly losing Isabella before she was even born, Ellie reaches a heartbreaking conclusion. She wonders whether their daughter may actually be safe growing up away from Yancy. Importantly, she doesn't stop loving him. Instead, she's acting from fear. Yancy cannot understand that distinction in the moment. When Kai gently tells him Ellie simply needs time, Yancy lashes out, convinced everyone secretly believes he's the problem. His emotional breakdown demonstrates just how terrified he is of losing the family he fought so hard to build. Rather than ending their relationship completely, the finale leaves their future uncertain, suggesting that healing from trauma will take far longer than physical recovery. One of the finale's biggest surprises is that Sydney remains free. Despite everyone believing she attacked Ellie, Sheriff Dan explains that proving the crime legally is far more complicated than expected. According to Ellie's official statement, Sydney threatened her, but Ellie actually stepped backward and fell herself. That distinction makes prosecution significantly more difficult. Sydney is also only considered a person of interest in another investigation, rather than someone with an active arrest warrant. As a result, the county launches an enormous search, but Sydney disappears without leaving a trace. Her escape leaves the season with its largest unresolved storyline. Even though Isabella survives, Ellie understands Sydney could return at any moment. That lingering uncertainty explains why the finale never allows the family to fully celebrate their daughter's birth. One of the finale's most satisfying moments is Stanton's reconciliation with Stanley. Earlier in the season, Stanley nearly destroyed the Double K Ranch by considering a deal with developers. Stanton had every reason to expose him publicly. Instead, he realizes that carrying resentment has already cost him too much. After losing Randall, Stanton no longer wants another relationship defined by regret. Rather than seeking revenge, he chooses forgiveness. Stanley's response is equally meaningful. Instead of clinging to control, he finally admits that the ranch belongs to Stanton and plans to tell the board the truth. For perhaps the first time in years, father and son openly tell each other they love one another. The scene represents more than reconciliation. It shows two generations finally breaking a cycle of pride that prevented either man from expressing vulnerability. After 2 seasons filled with missed opportunities, bad timing, and emotional walls, Quinn and Stanton finally choose each other. Several conversations push them toward that decision. Quinn encourages her mother Claire to stop sacrificing her own happiness and begin living for herself. Ironically, Claire then gives Quinn the exact same advice. Claire admits she spent years believing Stanton wasn't good enough for Quinn and openly apologizes for helping keep them apart. She compares love to a canyon that seems impossible to cross until someone finally decides to take the first step. Her words inspire Stanton to stop waiting. Using the letter Claire secretly leaves behind, he asks Quinn to meet him at the cabin. There, Stanton delivers perhaps his most honest confession of the entire series. Instead of regretting his past marriage or the life he built with Amala and Randall, he explains that every experience shaped the man standing before her. Those experiences weren't obstacles keeping him away from Quinn, they were the path that eventually led him back to her. Quinn realizes she's finally hearing the version of Stanton who no longer hides behind fear, and she kisses him. The following morning, after selling her family farm, Quinn tells Stanton that someone once taught him a home isn't simply a place, it's the person you love. She then quietly tells him that he is her home. The line beautifully completes both of their emotional journeys. Later, Stanton hands Quinn a key to the Double K ranch and asks her to move in with him, promising they can finally begin forever. After decades of almost finding each other, they finally stop looking backward and choose a shared future. The finale completes the season's complicated love triangle. Lucas honestly confesses that he slept with Ashley, destroying Lauren's trust. Although he genuinely regrets what happened, he knows he cannot undo the damage. Meanwhile, Kit believes loving Lauren means letting her go. He accepts Sheriff Dan's offer to start over in Wyoming because he thinks his troubled past will only continue hurting both Lauren and Lucas. Ironically, that selfless decision convinces Lauren that Kit is changed. She realizes she isn't in love with Lucas anymore. When Lucas tells her Kit is leaving town, Lauren refuses to let history repeat itself. She races to the bus station, embraces Kit, and kisses him before he can leave. For Kit, the moment proves he doesn't have to spend the rest of his life believing he's beyond redemption. For Lauren, it represents choosing the person she truly loves rather than the relationship that once seemed easier. The discovery beneath Cap's land changes Yancey's future almost overnight. What initially appeared to be an $80,000 disaster turns into a potentially enormous wealth after Freddie reveals that the property sits on a massive oil reserve. On paper, it's life-changing news, but narratively, the oil symbolizes temptation as much as opportunity. Yancey immediately imagines financial freedom and security for his family. Ellie sees only more conflict. Oil brings investors, lawyers, competitors, greed, and unwanted attention, the exact opposite of the peaceful life she wants for Isabella. The revelation suggests Season 3 won't simply focus on romance, it may also explore how sudden wealth changes relationships and attracts new enemies. The Season 2 finale revolves around one central idea: love only survives when people stop trying to control each other's futures. Stanley finally lets Stanton inherit the ranch instead of protecting his own pride. Claire finally stops interfering in Quinn's life and encourages her to follow her heart. Quinn gives her mother permission to pursue the life she always postponed. Kit walks away because he believes Lauren deserves better, only for Lauren to choose him freely. Stanton finally stops believing fate is keeping him and Quinn apart and instead takes action. The only relationship left unresolved is Yancey and Ellie's. And like the other couples, they aren't separated by misunderstanding but by trauma. Love alone cannot instantly erase what Ellie experienced, and the finale wisely refuses to pretend otherwise. Meanwhile, Sydney's disappearance ensures that the danger haunting Ransom Canyon hasn't truly ended. Her escape hangs over every happy ending, reminding us that while many characters finally find hope, peace remains fragile. By ending with Stanton handing Quinn the key to the Double K ranch, while Yancey walks away heartbroken, the finale balances optimism with uncertainty. Some characters finally cross the emotional canyon that separated them for years, while others are only beginning the much harder journey of rebuilding trust after unimaginable loss.